Right, hello everyone. No, you're not mistaken. We haven't changed the name of our podcast, people who have subscribed to Walford Weekly. We are doing a pilot series of a new podcast called The Wolford. So we are still on brand.
Yes, it took us hours to come up with that name. Hours!
But we thought we'd try something a bit new. Obviously, I left the EastEnders podcast, 6 months ago?
Actually, I hate that you use the term left. You haven't left the podcast. You've just chosen not to have as much participation as you used to.
That's right.
You can still hear you on the podcast, but not as often as people like.
So I wanted to do a podcast anyway, so I thought we'll just try and do a new one. So we're going to do a pilot one when we're on our week away. So this should be coming out. So if you're expecting the EastEnders podcast, this isn't an EastEnders podcast.
But don't turn off, because this could be a whole new world for you.
Exactly.
Whole new explore.
Please let us know what you think of the show. It is a pilot, so we are just winging it and seeing what happens. But we just want to do a quick new show called The Wolford, where we just talk about literally any topics that come into our minds in the week.
I love that there's absolutely no topic at all. It's just whatever comes into our head, we're talking about it.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I am Ben, and I am joined with Alex.
Hello.
And anyway, let's begin. So are you excited for our new venture?
I am excited. I'm very excited. We did a trial run last night while we were waiting for our sandwich to arrive, because we ordered
our Subway.
A Subway on Uber Eats, and
it's made me feel quite sick today. I don't know if
you're
it's
not
the
well
Subway.
at all.
I don't know if it's the lolly that I had. Who knows?
Well, you've blamed everything, basically, that you've eaten. But I repeatedly tell you that I've eaten the same stuff, so I don't know how...
but...
In fact, I've eaten spicier stuff, so technically if someone should have the bad stomach, it should be me. But no, you're the one.
It's fine.
3 a.m.
I was up at 3.
You and the cat ran down the stairs.
Up at 8. But it's fine. We'll get through this. I'm sitting down, so... it should be fine.
You're squatting.
What I should say as well, if you are listening to this on the podcast, we are doing a video version of this as well.
Yes.
So go onto our YouTube channel and you can see the whole thing. Because some of the topics, it should all work as an audio podcast. But some of the things we talk about, it may be improved if you're watching it on video with us. So just turn off and come onto YouTube and then you can see what's going on.
Just search Walford Weekly. As usual on our YouTube channel, because all this is going to be on our YouTube channel.
It's all an umbrella
and so on. It is. It's a brand.
That's right. So anyway, right, we're going to go on to some topics that I've brought up. There's just a whole mix of things just to see what works and what doesn't, what falls flat and what doesn't.
I don't know anything that's happening, by the way.
No,
I'm coming in here cold. So it's quite exciting, really. It's nice to not have as much responsibility.
So if the podcast is crap and just to
blame Ben.
Vile shit, it's honestly all my fault. So the first article I wanted to bring up that we wanted to talk about was the Kardashians. We all know the Kardashians. I do feel that their social media halo has been slipping recently. There seems to be more and more negative news about them, I feel.
I mean... There's never ever been a positive. There's always been brand Kardashian, hasn't there? And if you're on board and you get it and you want to join in, then you'll be part of that brand and
we were once part of that brand, weren't we? For 2 series.
To be fair, I did enjoy a couple of seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I had no problem with it. I thought it was silly, it was dumb, but they started to take themselves more and more seriously as things. When Caitlyn Jenner left the show, it started to get not as interesting because they weren't not as funny. Yeah, it wasn't as funny to watch. And I've noticed also the Kardashians recently have become very much. They feel like they're spokespeople for the entire community of the world. They think that they can introduce an idea and that we should follow.
Well, that's what made me think of this article. Because Chloe used to be the one that was real, I suppose. It wasn't she? She was
fun.
Didn't like plastic surgery. Didn't care what she looked like. She was the fun one. And she's had a few things happen to her where she's filtered her face a lot on images and then said, "Oh no, this is natural," and then had to go back on it. And then she did a live video saying there's no filter, but then her body would be you see waves where there's a filter. So stuff like that. But there's another article that's come out about her where she was moaning about people using bottled water to fill up jugs and drink them at home, which is fair point. We don't waste plastic water and stuff like that. So that's fair. But the problem that people had was it was coming from Khloe Kardashian. She was there moaning that people weren't weren't reusing plastic bottles and wasting stuff. And people like were quite rightly were like, well, Chloe, you have like a carbon footprint. You've jet around the world. People were bringing up photos of her like 3-year-old kid, and she'd bought like 10,000 plastic balloons and blown them up just for like one hallway.
Right.
And it's like, do you really have the authority to say to your fans who probably aren't multi-millionaires, billionaires, like to be like, oh, don't use plastic bottles when she's doing all these things?
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd wonder what your take was on them. Poor Chloe.
Poor Chloe.
This article, and like lots of people are trending and like calling her out on her balloon parties and her jetting, like this photo here.
By the way, I mean, yeah, that is ridiculous. Like, that is
for plastic waste.
That's a lot of balloons.
Yeah.
Has she retaliated to any of these? Like said, oh no, actually, all these balloons were made from bamboo and they're absolutely fine and
no, they are plastic.
Sustainable.
No, they're plastic.
They are definitely plastic. Okay.
Every time she gets called up, she doesn't really call back, does she?
I mean, that's probably the sensible thing to do, because we've seen in the past where Twitter can literally destroy someone when they just decide to retaliate against, a troll or someone who's giving a very good POV of.
You see, and the flowers
Coco,
are plastic.
her daughter.
Yeah, and the flowers are plastic as well.
Are
so
they?
It's like.
And don't forget that swimming pool. That swimming pool probably takes a lot of energy to heat and keep warm in the hottest climate on Earth.
But look at this. This is the same day. Like the whole house is just full of it.
Looks like a Katy Perry video, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, people are right to call her out for it. I mean, this is probably going off the topic of the Kardashians here, but this is one thing that makes me so mad, that companies tell us to recycle plastic, to do this, to do our bit, when really the buck should start with the companies that are doing it in the first place.
Well, isn't that a statistic? Like 90% of the waste could be stopped with like 3 companies. Isn't it like 3 or 4 companies? So like 90% of it, and like us with our plastic straws is like a 0.4%.
Yeah, but they're telling us we're the ones responsible. We're the ones who should be organising ourselves to try and do our bit.
That's what Chloe's asking us to do.
But Chloe is right to say it, but then Chloe needs to maybe reflect and sit back and think maybe there's more I could do too. I mean, you're saying about plastics and the balloons and something the other. By that picture of her that I'm seeing on the screen right now, there's quite a lot of plastic, I believe, in her as well. I mean, if you recycle Khloe Kardashian into a new park bench, she'd probably make quite a few. But this just makes me so mad that like these companies, like Coca-Cola, it's like, yeah, okay, you're right. We need to recycle. We need to look after this earth. We're destroying it. But stop making bottles, more and more bottles, that you contain your liquid sugar in. Just don't stop telling us what to do.
I mean, talking about environmental waste, I said this to you the other day about the impact of not having a child. I looked it up and it saves like 40 tonne of carbon waste for one child. So,
those little bastards.
That's my excuse. No children. I've done my bit. I've done like 10 Kardashian worths of bits in one go by not popping up
by not having a child. Oh, so that you're quite happy then to have a plastic cup then to...
Well, this is not a choice. The only thing they don't do plastic is the straw, isn't it? I hate paper straws as well.
Yeah, but see, this is another thing that irks me. People
moan
really
about
paper straws. Well, it's not just the fact that it's plastic, it's the fact that they go into the sea. So those plastic straws, fish eat those plastic straws.
I know, but then they give you a whole plastic thing, and it's like the straw ruins the paper straw ruins the drink.
Yeah, but the plastic straw is more easy to get into the digestive system of a fish and kill it or get into you than maybe that plastic cup. And I'm not saying that, yes, let's carry on using giant plastic cups.
Well, I've got a metal straw, so you can't.
No, I'd never.
I do hate.
And you've not had children, so.
No, exactly. So I'm fine. So if I have a few straws,
here
either have a child or a paper straw, I'd rather just not have a child and have a nicer straw, a nicer experience.
I want one of those straws that come in a little box and you can keep it in your
like a little glasses case.
Yeah, and you open it up and go and you pop it in your drink. That's the straw.
That makes you better than everyone else.
Of course, with my typewriter, my emo hat, while I'm in Starbucks making my novel. Yeah, that's what I want.
Yes, I don't think Chloe, bless her, she's not.
But she's not. To be fair to Chloe, I'm standing up for Chloe here. She's not the only one that does this. Everyone does this. As I say, big corporations do it. Other celebrities do it. we're not innocent of it. I probably do it. I probably see like someone. Oh, I just outed you with that plastic cup. When, let's be honest, you know,
this
I'm
is
not...
a reused one though from an old drink.
Well, that's
so
true.
I have reused the same plastic cup.
Well, you're trying to look cool in front of all the watchers
it's
on
the only
YouTube.
cup I had which would suit a
Iced latte.
So that's why I went with.
Can we discuss how iced latte should be the drink of 2021? I know they've been around for years, but my goodness, this is the year I discovered them.
Ones are, aren't they? The maca bubble teas. They're the drink of the year.
No, they are the drink of the year.
You're behind.
My shot of vanilla, I am there for it. If anyone wants to gift me Starbucks cards, I'll take them. Costa, I'm not plastic cards. Gift them to me right now.
Right. So, with my next topic, I know that you're a fan of bears. Have you seen this video?
No, let me put that because it fell out as you were talking to me. So, hang on. I love bears. I have a bear tattoo on my left calf. I love them so much. And I would get out to show you, but it would take more effort than time, so I'm not going to bother.
Big fan of bears. But you haven't seen this video. It's of a bear which climbs on a wall with its cubs.
Oh.
And this girl's dogs all come out, and the owner, the girl, comes out to save her children, her dog children.
Right.
But I want to know whose side you're on, because lots of people are on the human side of this. And I watched this and I thought, I don't know if this is fair. So anyway, we'll watch it here. So there's the bear, there's the mama bear.
Look at him! Or her, sorry, yeah, quite right, mama bear.
And then there's the cubs on the wall, and the cubs...
They're not doing anything wrong.
No, and then the little dog, you hear that bark then, the little dogs come out. Look, so the mum is protecting. She just shoves the bear off the wall. And the bear's like, oh.
I've had enough of this shit, I'm going. Look at her running away, oh for goodness sake.
So lots of people are like, oh, she was so brave, she was saving her dogs, what a brave person, pushing the bear off the wall.
Is she coming back, or is this the start of the video? Okay. I thought she's having another
I was on the mum's side, mama bear.
Mama bear?
Really, it was the little shitty little dogs that were yapping, started it off. And she was just protecting her cubs.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the dogs... I mean, what were the... I mean, I get it. The dogs were on... The dogs... It's the dogs live there, and so they were kind of... But they weren't hurting the bear. They were just barking at the bear. But I get it. Yeah, the bear was protecting her cubs.
Would you do that if it was Charlie the cat and there was a bear there? Would you push the bear off the wall?
No,
I'd probably be brave.
No, I'd probably tell the dogs... I'd probably grab the dogs and take them away. I wouldn't attack the bear.
Well, she had to push it out the way, didn't she?
No, because the bear didn't have hold of the dog. The bear just went, swiped it a couple of times, and then that was the end of it.
Yeah, but you've never been face to face with a bear.
Those cubs. I mean...
Oh, the cubs run away, bless them.
I know.
So look, she's like, no. And then down again.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think that would have hurt the bear, so
no.
I'm not...
But I am on the side of the bear, I feel.
Yeah. I mean...
It's the little shitty yappy dogs, which are like...
I mean, you have to remember that we are probably on their territory, those bears' territory. She probably decided to build that, because that looks like quite an isolated house in the middle of nowhere. She probably just decided to plop that house in the, or it might have already been built. And the bears just wanted to have a bit of a stroll over the wall. I mean,
like this comment as well from someone. I said, I've just looked, because it was the person who posted it was her cousin. She said, I just looked at her page. This girl clearly fears nothing. And it's like, her page is just like, really dark and creepy, like
anime.
She's obviously hardcore.
Yeah, I mean,
she's pushing bears off walls.
Yeah, she don't care. She doesn't look like the kind of woman who would have a page like that on Instagram. Do you not think she? I
mean, you've only seen a snapshot of her life.
Oh, of course,
pushing a bear off a wall.
Of course, and I saw her bravery, and it was admirable. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not taking either side. I think yes, the bears fought. The mama bear fought off for her cubs, which is the right thing to do, and the woman fought up for her pups, her dogs.
Battle of the mums. What mums would
Battle
do
of the
to
mums.
save their own kids.
But I certainly wouldn't side with her. I mean, if she like showed me that video on her phone and kind of said, "Oh, look what happened yesterday," I'd probably be like, "Oh, wow, that's mad." But I wouldn't then give her like a trophy for doing it. I mean, I love the fact that he swipes the little yappy one. Yeah,
little yappy one runs away along the wall.
Little yappy little crap.
God.
Yeah, I do love the way she runs away. She looks
like she's in like a hospital gown as well.
That's what I mean.
Who knows what this is? Nice little fruit tree she's got as well.
Yeah, was that a lemon tree? Or was it an orange tree?
Maybe that's what the bears were looking for.
More than likely is what the bears, because that's what bears are like, aren't they? They scavenge. Look at Yogi. He just wants a picnic basket.
That's true. Although we don't know if that's fictitious or not.
I think it might be. It's a cartoon series.
Right, so the next thing I was thinking about in my mind when it popped into my head, I was driving to work and I was thinking, videos and things you see online where people are like, oh, if you visit this country, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. Like, we watch those in Japan, like, you should take your shoes off, you shouldn't
eat in public.
Yeah, you shouldn't finish your meal because it's rude. You
shouldn't cross your chopsticks.
Stuff like that. And there's stuff for every country. And I thought, because we live where we live in England...
Well, we live in Scotland.
Scotland, so great. GB.
The United Kingdom, oh yeah.
Because we live there, I thought there must be people who are visiting us who must look up these things too. Because you've never really looked up, how should you act in Britain?
Well, because you take it for granted. We live in Britain, so we think this is how you act.
So I found an article with things that someone has written saying this is what you should and shouldn't do in Great Britain. And I want to know if you agree with their points or not, and if you think there is things that we should do or shouldn't do for people visiting our country.
Okay. Well,
because we live in the country, so we are in it.
Yeah,
we know.
Exactly. But also, not just people who are visiting the country. There's plenty of things that people who live in this country who should be not doing things as well.
Not be racist.
Yeah,
it's a big ask. It's a big ask for some people in England. So anyway, on this article, we're going to go through some of them and see if you think that is true or if this is just... Because you never know, when you read these articles about Japan... This might just be stuff people generally say, but when you're actually in Japan and you ask someone, they're like, well, it's not really that big of a deal.
That's true, because normally these videos, when they say things you shouldn't do in this country, are from people who are foreign to the country. So is Tracy the one who wrote this article? Is she like an outsider from the UK, or does she live in the UK?
She was born in England, spent most of my life living here. The North East Midlands.
See, that straight away gets my back up, because I think that she's being a little bit xenophobic here. That she's telling people...
Don't be mean to Tracy. She's written this article.
She may have written it, but I can't help but think that she's doing a very British thing, and that is bulldozing her views onto other people around the world.
Everyone makes these sort of articles for other countries, so why can't someone who lives here make one as well?
That's fine. Just be prepared for if I may add or deduct some of these points.
Okay. Right, so one of the first ones she does is don't push in or invade personal space. I mean, that's more apt now for COVID, for social distancing. But, it's queuing, isn't it? For some reason, people don't queue in other countries, which I don't get.
I know.
It makes so much sense queuing.
Yeah. It's an orderly thing, and everyone gets a turn.
And it's not rude. It's so rude. If you were waiting for something and some person just stands in front of you, why would you do that?
I agree, but I would also add on top of that I was at a self-checkout a couple of days ago, getting my couple of bits and pieces from Morrison's, and a woman decided that she wouldn't wait behind the line where there was a queue, because there was 4 checkouts and I was at one of them. She decided she would stand next to me the whole time I was swiping these items through the checkout. Now that's an invasion of my space. So I agree entirely.
Especially during now COVID's a thing.
Yeah. And
it's when you're getting money out of a machine in the wall and someone stands behind you. You're not meant to do that.
Well, that's why they have mirrors on the wall now, so you can see behind you.
They need mirrors at the self-checkout.
Yeah, they do. They certainly do. They need ones like they have the car wing mirrors. But yeah, I was really mad about her for doing that. And so I deliberately went slower, and you could tell that she was getting more and more wound up. But yeah, no, to be fair to...
So number one, you agreed.
I agree with that
one. Queuing is a thing that's a British
fine.
thing.
And I think more countries... This is something we should introduce to other countries. Like Marmite.
Invade our opinions on others. We love doing it.
Now I'm invading my opinion on others.
Right, so number 2 was don't underestimate the English love for tea and tea breaks.
Yeah, I do love a cup of tea.
I don't. I've never had a cup of tea. Ever. But just the smell of a cup of tea makes me feel sick. Like when I used to have to make a cup of tea for my aunt when she was hungover in the morning and I was staying over at my cousin's house, she was like, oh, make a cup of tea. Even the smell of it and the look of it has just never appealed to me.
You would care for your aunt.
Well, she would be in bed, hungover. She'd be watching WWF on Sky 1 on the weekends.
I forgive her.
And we'd wake up and she'd like, tea! And you'd have to make it for her. That's just what happened.
No, I love a cup of tea. I must admit, I'm not a tea connoisseur like other people in the UK, but I enjoy Earl Grey. I mean, I may offend a lot of people by saying this, but I like adding a little bit of milk to my Earl Grey too.
Well, this person says, don't make a cup of tea without asking everyone else who's around you if they want one. It's 100%. Not a done thing.
100%. You should always ask anyone. And if anyone visits your home, again, not so much of COVID at the moment, if anyone visits your home, always ask them if they would like a drink.
I never do that. I
know you don't. I always end up doing it.
I don't like doing it because I don't drink tea and I don't really drink. I drink coffee very specific to how I have it. If someone says to me, "Oh yeah, I'll have a cuppa," that's when I panic in my head and I'm thinking, what do they want? Do they want sugar? How much milk? How long do I leave it in for? How strong do they want it? Is it too hot? I wouldn't like any of this. And then I'd ask them and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, medium," and it's just like, well. So that's too much panic for me. I can't cope. So I'd rather just be rude and not ask.
I mean, I've had tea made for me where I've been a little bit like, I'm drinking this out of politeness. This is the worst cup of tea I've ever had. I've been complimented.
It's just embarrassing. I find saying, "Do you take sugar?" I just find it embarrassing. I don't know why. It's one of those things that shouldn't be embarrassing, but it is in my head. And it's like, no, I'd rather just not offer a cup of tea to anyone. And if they want milk, and we've only got one certain milk, do I say, "Oh, do you want..." I'm the type of person who would say, "Oh, do you want semi?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, "Well, I don't have semi."
Well, I mean, and
then I'd panic and go into a whole spiral of, this tea is not nice, and I have to bring it out to them, not spill it, but hand it to them, but hold the...
This is a process, isn't it,
for
you?
That's what goes through my head. If I say to someone, "Oh, do you want a drink?" That's what goes through my head.
I just think, would you like a drink? Yes, please. I'll switch on the kettle.
I know, that's easy for you, but that doesn't go in my head. But,
the milk thing's interesting, actually, because I've never really thought about it. I do say to people now, because we don't have any dairy in the house. So I always say, we've got oat milk. And I explain, then there's that long explanation of saying to them, oat milk's actually really creamy. So if you have a coffee, it's really nice. And then people have it and they go, yeah, I'm surprised.
It is creamy. You converted my dad. He now buys oat milk, but he buys the long life stuff.
Yeah, which curdles in the hot drink, which isn't right.
Yes, anyway. Right, so number 3 was avoid travelling during rush hour. I think that's a pretty basic thing, wherever you live.
That's not just a UK thing, is it? That's an everything thing.
That's, at number 3 you're already reaching. I understand the difference between the UK, Great Britain and England, which I just referenced where I got that wrong. I always get England and Britain wrong because I hate England, but I say Britain by accident because Britain's got talent. But it is Britain because Britain's Next Top Model is everyone, isn't it? Plus Ireland for some reason.
No, United Kingdom is Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Scotland, Wales, Scotland, and England.
Yes. 4.
Great Britain is Scotland, Wales, and England.
That's it.
And England is England. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't offend me. I think a lot of people do. Again, that's quite I'm English and you should know, we're the greatest nation on earth, so you should know that we are this, that, and the other.
But if you were visiting and you said to someone in Scotland, you said, "Oh, this is England," it probably wouldn't go down. Some people it wouldn't go down well.
No, in Scotland it wouldn't. Oh God, no! In fact, I've made that mistake. No. Scotland is a very proud nation, and I don't blame them at all because I wouldn't want to be associated with England either. So I don't blame.
Very anti-England. We spent our whole lives there. It's anti.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're basically saying, don't mess this up. There's 4 countries, don't mess up.
United Kingdom. If you say the UK, then it's 4 countries. If it's GB, then it's the land.
Just say the UK.
Just think it's the mainland.
Just to be safe.
Yeah, but if you think, although that's interesting, GB News. I wonder if they're broadcasting to Northern Ireland, or they'll show any Northern
GB
Ireland
News here.
Okay, but that'd be an
launch, and then we can talk about.
But that'd be an interesting faux pas from them. I'll be looking out for that.
All right, number 5 is don't attempt to do a regional accent in front of someone. I mean, is that? I don't think people would actually care. In this country, people don't really care about that. If you did it, they would probably just laugh and
again, if you in the Polish community have kind of made fun of me because when I've used the term mate, they think that's funny. They go, all right, mate, because they think the thing. But I've never thought to myself, well, how dare you visit to my country? Never thought that at all. Again, I
don't think people would care. I think if you went to China and you were doing impressions of a Chinese accent, that is not okay. But I don't think people in England would care if you tried to do a Scottish accent or a Brummie accent or a Cheryl. Do you know what I mean?
Cheryl Cool.
Yeah. See, you've done it. No one would really care.
No, it's a difference between putting on an accent and then just being outright racist.
Fun, yeah.
Well, no, not making fun, just being outright racist.
Exactly.
So if you're going to run around pulling your eyes and going, I'm not going to do it. But if you would do something like that in an Asian country, then rightfully so, you should be in trouble for that. That's disgusting. But no, an accent isn't a race, is it?
Exactly.
It's just an accent.
So I don't think people really care.
Nah. I don't care. Make fun of my posh voice.
This one's a good one. Don't just stay in London, which I think is a fair point, because lots of people who come here, like America, think the UK is literally London. That's it.
That's true.
Nothing else. And yeah, London's like one of the worst places to visit. Like, you should go all over.
London's fine.
Yeah, but it's horrible. It's full of people who don't like anyone. They don't look at you. They don't smile. They don't say hello. They're always in a rush.
If you want to go to a friendly city, go to Birmingham. Yeah. Birmingham's a lovely city, full of really nice people.
I think London is like, you're not going to go there and be like, welcome. Like, you're not going to feel warm and welcome walking around the streets.
There's a certain degree of we're better than you.
We're in London.
Yeah, we're Londoners.
It's like New York, but like the English.
New York's lovely. Don't you dare
like,
put New York in the same category.
Yeah, but I think the same sort of thing applies. Like, there's an elitism if you live in London.
I feel you're basing it on one person's YouTube channel who recently moved to New York and got themselves an apartment which was literally the size of a stamp. Because she wanted to live in main Manhattan. Yeah.
Right, know how to respond when someone says something like, you all right?
I'm good.
Okay, you know how to respond. So, like, the local slang. So basically look up the local slang and stuff. Like, you all right means, are you okay? Are you okay?
Don't even say you all right.
It means like hi as well, kind of, doesn't it?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, and then that's the end. That's all you need to do. Like, if you walk past someone and they smile at you.
All right. All right. Yeah.
So an expected response would be, yes, thanks.
Oh, there you go. What does she do? Do not say this response. I suppose it would be annoying if someone responded,
no.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the thing. If someone asks you if you're all right or you're okay, or
they don't actually care.
They don't give a crap.
They don't want to know the answer. It's just like that's that. Now go.
Just acknowledging your existence.
We're very solitary in this country. So number 8 is don't refer to football as soccer.
I'm inclined to agree with this one. I'm
not a football or soccer fan. I don't care about any of it.
But it is football, not soccer.
No.
And
Americans call it soccer, don't they?
They do, but because America calls it soccer, a lot of other countries started to pick up on it as well. Because they have America. The thing is, they distinguish their football. Well, I suppose they don't call it American football, do they? They call it football. And it's silly for
American football.
But they call it football. In America, American football is called football. Why didn't they call it British football? Or, sorry, UK football? Or, but to say the ball is not oval, that's ridiculous. It's still a ball, for Christ's sake. See, this is the silly things that is ridiculous. See, I've heard a lot of people say, well, it shouldn't be called football in America because they don't kick the ball. They do kick the ball. It's football. Okay, obviously in soccer or the UK football, there's more kicking involved, so there's more foot-to-foot touching, but it's still kicking.
I hate that, like, England are so football mad. It's like...
It's our national sport.
Yeah, but I just hate it so much. Like, I'd rather have tennis.
Yeah, but you don't like... Oh, do you like tennis?
No, I don't like it, but I'd rather have it talked about over football.
Yeah, you say that, but when Wimbledon's on for 3 weeks in the summer, you'll be moaning like the rest of them that it's cancelling your favourite show.
And the football culture is just so... dated and just...
It's better than it was, football culture. In the 80s, it was atrocious. I was watching a documentary about it.
There's still stuff going on now. Like,
oh, yeah.
But it's awful. Anyway, number 9 is don't stand on the left side of an escalator. Do you not know about that?
No.
Didn't you?
No.
Yeah, if you're standing still, you stand on the left. If you're in a hurry and you walk up. See, this is what you do. If you're in London...
she's saying don't stand on the left side. I thought you stood on the left side when you're going up, if you're standing still. I genuinely thought it was the left side when you're standing still.
Yeah, they rush past you.
And people to the right, so the fitter, younger...
and late commuters can rush past you. So if you're stationary, you stay on one side.
Yeah, which I always thought was the left. I swear I did.
No, because we drive on the left, so if you're driving on the left, you're going. So, like...
that makes sense. Okay.
So I can imagine you wouldn't be welcome in London.
Well, I'm not being funny, but this woman said 2 points ago, don't make everything London-centric, and she's literally just made one of her points only about London.
Escalators aren't just in London,
yeah, but she's using as an example the underground system, which is pretty much the only way you'd use it. When you're in a supermarket, you don't tend to give a monkeys, do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
No. Nah. But there's more than just London.
That's a silly one. Get it out. Pull it out.
Be prepared to talk about the weather.
We do talk about the weather a lot.
I mean, it is a thing that does come up.
It comes up often.
Like, it's like a starter of, like, if you're with someone that you work with and you don't really have much in common.
I talk to you about the weather.
Exactly. You can always rely on talking about the weather, can't you?
It's just one of those things. It's a thing that everyone can have an opinion on. That's
and
what
usually
it is,
the same opinion. Like when
Well,
it's
of
wet,
course.
we want it to be sunny.
Yeah.
When the sun comes out, it's too hot.
Too hot, you want it to be
that's how it
cooler.
goes.
When it's too cold, then you want it to be warmer.
But is this not a thing that people in other countries do? They not talk about the weather? Like
They must do.
how could they not?
I suppose England has... Sorry, gosh, this is already freaking me out. I suppose the UK has its own kind of microclimate. It does have it has a proper seasonal cycle, doesn't it? So I suppose it makes sense. While in other countries, say, just for argument's sake, California and America, it tends to be very sunny most of the time.
You could still talk about that, couldn't you?
Yeah, but it'd get quite boring quite quickly, wouldn't it? I don't mind.
But you think that's a good thing? Like, if
Yeah,
you're
it's a good
visiting a
thing.
country, be prepared for someone to say something about the weather to you.
Yeah, but don't feel like you're forced that you have to talk about the weather. It's a bit like you all right. It's the same thing. So instead of going up to someone saying, "You all right?" you instead just say, "Cool, it's hot today, isn't it?" And then you can... you don't think about it until afterwards, but yeah, it's true.
Right, number 11. Some English place names are not pronounced the way you may expect. I think that's like another thing, like wherever you visit, that's the case.
Yeah, but that's down to Old English language. There's a really interesting video, actually. If you're on YouTube watching this, after you've watched us, go find Map Men, and there's a really interesting video about that. Really interesting video about it. It explains why we pronounce our names really bizarrely. Like Leamington Spa, yeah, Blister. But I suppose you're right. Again, it's kind of like if you're in the country, you know how to pronounce it.
Wow. I don't know how to pronounce half the places I am. Don't talk about money. Oh, this is a weird thing. My mum never shuts up about money, so it's probably quite unique.
My mum and dad don't
I
talk
remember
about
there was an advert where you don't talk about it enough, and it's like, talk more about money before it's too late. Do you remember that advert? And it was like about funerals and arranging money.
Yes,
Something
you
like
said
that.
funerals, yes.
And it's like, what? But I guess it's a thing where English people don't talk about money. I don't know.
I suppose it's a status thing, but then we have a class system still in the UK, so it makes sense to boast about if you're earning more. I suppose it's not. It's maybe it's seen as a bit rude and arrogant to talk about money, but to show that you have a lot of wealth
It can
isn't
seem
so
quite
much.
brash and showy offy
Yeah.
if you share how much you've spent on something. But I know a lot of people that brag about things.
I mean, a lot of
But
young
people do it subtly. I think like,
Yeah.
oops, my watch.
Yeah. Oh, my
It's like
iPhone.
stuff like that. But,
Yeah. I mean, I don't talk about, but then that goes down to also when you're working, you're not meant to talk about your wage, are you, with other people?
I know. Well, my boss at the hairdresser used to say that. He used to say to all of us, not allowed to talk about wage.
Yeah, but that's
And
because
it's like,
your
well,
boss...
why?
Well,
so we used to, and then we worked out exactly why.
Yeah,
so,
because everyone was getting paid ridiculous
yeah,
amounts.
especially when you got like a random envelope at Christmas, like, don't open this till you're home. And like the next day we'd all talk to each other about it. And like some people got like £30, some people got like 150.
That's ridiculous.
And like, you know, in the years that you've been good, because you'd get like loads of money. Like, oh, I'm popular this week.
It's
And then like your
favouritism.
friend had got like £30.
That's just favouritism. That's disgusting.
I know, not good. But I liked it when I got more.
This could be a topic for another time if this pilot takes off. But we need to discuss one day about the distribution of wealth in the world. It's disgusting. Anyway, sorry.
Right. Number 13. Tipping is generally voluntary in England. So it's not like in America where you're expected to tip. It's because our waiters
Get
are
paid a good
usually
wage
paid
anyway.
minimum wage, whereas in America or other countries, a lot of their income relies on tips.
Yeah.
So here it's not as seen, and like even here in some restaurants where they put the tip on automatically, like that can go down, and people do go, "I'm not paying this tip.
Yeah.
Can you take it off, please?" And it's like, people have no fear saying that.
Don't.
No, I don't.
I'm
like
sorry.
it.
I know
Especially when
if
you
I'm
say
sorry.
it to their face, like,
Yeah.
thanks for the great service. The food was great. Can you take the tip off, please?
Well, no, see, what I do is if I have been served really well by someone in a restaurant, is I would take away the mandatory tip from the bill in a polite way, but then say to the server, I'll give you a tip to you.
Because then it goes to them.
Exactly. Not to the restaurant or the thing.
Also, people seem to be more inclined to want to tip if it's not automatically put on.
Exactly.
It's like, cause it's like freedom. People like having their own choices.
Yeah, well,
they're very like, yes. So
I think it's a bit rude, to be honest with you. You don't, and in all honesty, you don't tend to find it in like little small, like, it's normally chains that do it, like Ask Pizza, or Prezzo. They're really bad for it. Prezzo are really disgusting for it, actually, because they do, I'm sure they make it almost a policy that they do make you feel like a complete piece of shit if you say no to them. Like, they do, I'm telling you that now. Sorry, anyone who loves Prezzo.
number 14 was don't talk too loudly in restaurants, which I was like, really?
I get it, but then I think we've all been that loud group in a restaurant in the past.
I mean, when we've been on a cruise ship with your family, people like when there's like a lot of drinks and does get loud, we do then suddenly look around and like there's no one sat around us.
Yeah.
Which happens quite a lot.
But that's not just happened on holiday.
With English people on a cruise ship, so it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, so it depends how loud you are, I guess.
I guess so. But like I say, I think we're all guilty at some point to have done it. We've all been in a group which has been a little loud, and you've kind of looked around and you can see a few people. I think again, it's one of those things. If you're in a group, you tend to be a bit louder than if it was just say you and me having a meal together. And
if there was a loud group near you, you'd probably
it would make me a bit like exactly.
Grow up.
Yeah, how dare
And then
you.
next week you'd be doing the same thing. Right, and her last point was don't forget to drive on the left.
Oh, yes.
Which is like, well, that's just stupid. Like, in any country you go to, you need to know which side to drive on.
But it's because in the UK, we're one of only like a handful of countries that do that. I think it's Japan drive on the left.
Yeah, there's not many, is there?
Us. It's Australia, they drive on the left as well, don't they?
Only the elite.
The elite. No, do you know the reason why we drive on the left?
No.
This is genuinely true. Because in the old days of like, when you used to ride horses...
Horse and cart?
Well, just a horse, and you had your like your knights and all that, like Game of Thrones days. People would ride on the left-hand side, and I suppose this is why it's the same in Japan, because then they would have their sword
for their right hand,
and they could get it out
and swipe.
I'd be on the right hand side
then because I'm left-handed.
Well, you'd learn. I think you'd learn to.
I'd be forced to be right-handed back then.
Well, you would have. You'd be a witch.
Yeah, I'd have my hand tied behind me.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was an article of like things that you should and shouldn't do in the UK. I mean, some of them were just like, really?
Yeah.
But overall, I guess that's kind of it was kind of correct, I guess. But some of them was very like, well, obviously.
Well, one of them is legally binding. You cannot drive on the right-hand side of the road, or else you will be in trouble.
Like, yeah.
It's less offensive than I thought it was going to be. I was worried that there was going to be some really awful, like xenophobic comments come up there. I was a bit not happy about it.
It's all okay.
But it's fine. I'm
right,
happy
so
with
for our last topic of the pilot episode, I thought we'd just end it with playing a game of one of our favourite things, our accounts of are they a couple or are they siblings?
Okay.
This may be more of a video thing than a podcast thing, but it's fine. So we're going to just do a few, and you can say what do you think they're a couple, are they siblings? And this is like it's an Instagram account called Siblings or Dating. And it's quite a popular thing, and it's just like the most weirdest photos of like, it just creeps you out.
Brother and sisters can be a little bit too close to one another.
Yeah, and it's like, so the first one we've got these two. They're hugging next to a pool, both in their swimming trunks. His arm is up her back, her arm's around his neck. Her knee is quite close to his crotch.
I was going to say, she's rubbing her thigh against his thigh, isn't she? And don't want to sound crude, but it looks like he's enjoying it a little bit.
It might just be well endowed.
I don't know.
They don't look similar either, do they? Really?
Well, apart from they both have dark hair. But no, not really. Plus, he looks like he tans better than her. I don't know if that's a reason to say. I'm going to say they're dating. I think they're dating. I hope
the comment
they're dating.
says, "I can't do this anymore. I hate it here." So
they're
siblings. Yes.
That's. Oh, at least I was the majority of people. Oh God, why? I mean,
I would never take a photo. The second one here, the two blonde guys.
Well, it's a guy and a girl.
That's quite a normal picture. I would say they're siblings.
That's fine. Yeah, I'd take pictures if I had a sister, probably like that, or my nieces. They look similar as well. They've got really similar eyes and hair. Their hair is really similar. It's blonde and quite curly. Their teeth is almost identical. Oh, what?
This makes no sense. That's just stupid. So they are dating, but like these two are.
But those two aren't. No.
Siblings.
Oh.
This one could be either
siblings
because like he's keeping his hands very away from anything.
Yeah.
And she's barely wanting to touch him.
Yeah. No, they're siblings. I'd say for certain they're siblings. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think they're doing anything too offensive there.
Okay photo.
That's fine. They look happy with each other.
These two look happy. I hope they are siblings because they look miserable.
They look really young as well. They look like there's like their school prom or disco, doesn't it? It looks like they're going to their
they don't look happy.
Final year of school.
Being embedded into a cult against their will, basically, is what happened.
This is their ID card. If we had to guess sibling, I think they're dating.
Do you think? They're so miserable,
I do.
Though?
I think they're dating.
Oh, they're siblings. Good. They do look like pissed off.
I mean, yeah. If in the siblings, it's not that bad, is it? they've got identical eyes. But then
Yeah,
I said that
colours.
about the other blonde couple. Maybe it's about blonde people, blue eyes. Maybe it's something, like that. He looks really familiar, actually. He looks like someone I used to know. Mm-hmm. Just with the guy I knew had shorter hair. He worked in the warehouse of John Lewis.
Did he have a sister?
No, he didn't.
I'd say they're siblings.
Also, I'd say they're siblings because they stood in front of a Christmas tree. And I think a lot of family events is linked to Christmas or any kind of holiday. They're dating. Of course they are.
Even though they obviously just love themselves. They're like a gay couple. Gay couples always date people who look similar to them.
I wouldn't say they love themselves.
No, it's because they're dating people who look like them.
Oh, what's the word when you like date people who look like yourself?
Arrogant.
Yeah. Would you if you lived in a parallel universe and you saw someone who looked like who was you, basically if you saw yourself,
would I have sex with myself?
Would you have sex?
This was one of my topics that I was going to put on. The thing, because I thought it's a bit of a weird thing. No, I would not, because myself is not my type at all.
Oh right.
It's just no. That would not. No. If I saw myself in the street, I would not think good things. Of myself. No. Hate myself too much to have sex with myself, basically.
Oh, that's sad to hear.
Sad but true.
I mean, I look at myself in the mirror and don't think, wow, you're a stunner. I'm not, and then this isn't for sympathy, so there's no need for people to kind of go, no, you're really no. It isn't for sympathy at all. But it's a small part of me that thinks that it might happen, that I could. Do you not? I don't know. But the other problem
Probably because people masturbate by themselves, so what's the difference?
Yeah, but you're not staring at... Well, you might be, but you're not staring at yourself in the mirror while you're doing it. You're watching some kind of content or a magazine or imagination to kind of help stimulate the
I mean, in this parallel universe, are you also yourself? Or are you
See, that's
else?
the thing. Have I got the same personality? Because I genuinely think my personality would clash.
Are you looking at yourself? Do you also look like yourself?
Yeah, you look exactly like yourself.
No, that's no.
No. But the other problem is that obviously in a gay relationship, there's fluidity, but sometimes there's someone who prefers to be the top, and there's roles, yeah. And I think that might be a problem as well.
Well, luckily we're not in that world.
But we might be.
Well, it'll be the end
Jeff
of humanity.
Bezos might be putting lots of money into this right now.
Well, he's flying to space soon.
He is. I'm really jealous of that. I'd love to fly to space. That's another comment, perhaps, if this gets picked up for a series.
Right, last one,
okay.
because we're running out of time. It's a very big file that I'll have to process in a minute. These two. No touching. They look like brother and sister, don't they, at a family meal together?
No, I think they're dating, because that woman's got an air of kind of like...
Look who I've bagged.
Yeah.
He is very handsome, I must say.
I think she's, they're both very beautiful people. But I think she thinks that she's more beautiful than him in the relationship.
I love that comment. There's a comment there that says, siblings by chance, lovers by choice.
Yeah.
I'd date him. He's very
God, I'd 100% date him, but he's not my brother, is he?
No, he's not tagged.
But is there any... Do you reckon there'll be one day one of these where it'll be like siblings or lovers or both?
We can all hope. Fingers crossed. Right, so the last one, it is...
I say lovers. Dating, yeah. Good.
Oh, I thought they were brother and sister.
No. Plus, they didn't have the same drink choices, and I think... Well, no, actually, no, that's a lie too, because my brother drinks, like, WKD Blue, and I like a pint of Guinness, so that's a really silly thing to say.
Right, well, there you go. That was a little quick game of siblings or dating.
Well, next time, you need to play the game... during a pandemic or not during a pandemic, where you show pictures of people going out and whether it was taken during a pandemic or not during a pandemic.
I've got lots of topics on my list. I only picked a few for the pilot episode, but there's lots more going through. So there you go. That was the pilot episode of The Wolford, which we can see behind us here. There you go. So please let us know what you thought of this. If you liked it, if you've got any suggestions what we should do, shouldn't do more of. I think it's been all right. It's been fun.
Comment below on YouTube. And I suppose you can get in touch with us on our Walford Weekly Twitter.
Yeah, it's Walford Weekly at the moment because this is just a trial. We don't know what we're doing yet. But
or our personal Twitter, because you can put our personal Twitter up.
Yes, it'll be on the YouTube thing, or we'll put them in the description.
Whatever's.
There you go. And if you have any topics or things that you want us to discuss, nothing's off limits.
No,
we're open book. So let us know below what maybe you'd like to.
I mean, they could post the articles and stuff, couldn't they?
Mm-hmm. and we can have a look through. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed episode pilot of The Wolford, and we will see you hopefully again sometime in the near future. Goodbye.
Bye.